We'll find out. Some stuff's a bigger battle than others.
I'm just surprised Macy wasn't more stern on his comments for Enterprise, what's her name? Sidella?
Did he send that over?
What's that?
I never saw comments from him.
From John? Yeah. Did you guys get attorney comments? Uh-oh.
I never saw. Did he just send them to you?
He emailed, he copied you. I'm gonna
Oh my gosh, I missed him. I will print them right now.
Oh, you're, okay.
I don't know what happened there.
You were sleeping again. Get up.
Yeah, I know.
I just, because he was so anal before about Act 67, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
right,
God.
yeah.
You couldn't see the material, it's like,
That's true.
I just don't tell him I said that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was waiting for the slap on the wrist when we were looking at it last time, and it's like, I know. I think I even asked Sean one day. I'm like, what happened here?
Did anybody hear from Mario?
I did not.
I hate to call him, I feel like it's another one. Sean.
Yeah.
Sean Malarkey, this is Jay Pecca. Jay Pecca, Sean.
Hey, Jay, good to meet you. Yeah, I'm the planner and zoning administrator.
And janitor. He's also the janitor.
Yeah. When needed.
I don't know what, you would go crazy if that, if you accidentally displaced that thing.
Oh, God, yeah. Mario, I was just going to call you. Mario, where are you?
When I'm
Perfect
working
time.
on homes, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't cover over certain industry.
Oh, do ya?
Or the bedroom.
Yeah, there's always something.
I have my mom call, well, why aren't you picking up your phone? I'm outside.
Guys, we have 1 minute. I wonder if we're on.
That's right.
Hey, can anybody go to YouTube and see if we're on live?
My cousin,
Let me see if I can get there.
drove into their house and blew the gas line out.
We're on screen.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
I know.
Well, I want you to have the attorney comments. Did you? Oh, if you didn't.
I don't think I saw them either.
Are we on live?
Yes.
I mean, they're pretty much the standard, but just in case you wanted to see them.
I'm printing them right now.
What's that? You're printing them?
Yes.
Is it 6 o'clock?
So we can start in the
Oh, it is. Gentlemen, are you ready? Let me just get my microphone on. Welcome to the Village of Vernon Village Board and Plan Commission meeting. Today is Wednesday, May 8th at 6 p.m. We're at the Vernon Village Hall. I'm going to call the meeting to order and would ask if you all could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag in a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Brett Calder, could you please do the roll call of the Plan Commission and Village Board and open meeting compliance?
For Village Board, President Chu.
I'm here.
Trustee Pecca.
Here.
Trustee Finch.
Here.
Trustee Newman.
Here.
Trustee Millies.
Here.
For Plan Commission, Chairman and President Chu's already.
I'm absent.
And Trustee Commissioner Millies is here. Commissioner Nowak.
Here.
Commissioner Rinaldi.
Here.
Commissioner Alex.
Here.
This meeting is noticed and posted according to law.
Thank you, Brad. And as Brad stated, he's running attorney comments. He's going to bring you to each one of the commissioner and board members. For the first agenda item is a public hearing, and for all of our public hearings, just so the public knows, what I'll do is read the notice. Our planner always gives an overview of what the petitioner is requesting in the public hearing notice. Then the petitioners come forward and add any additional information that our planner may have missed. And then we open it up to the public, and then we open it up to the Village Board and Plan Commission. We bring it back to the public or petitioner. It's going to go back and forth until everybody's done with their comments. Just so you and once everybody's all done with their comments, then I'll close the public hearing, and then depending on what happens, the Plan Commission or Village Board will take action. Just so you understand our process. Our first public hearing is a hearing by the Village Board and Plan Commission that is being held today at 6 p.m. at the Vernon Village Hall to consider the request of Louis is it Olverius? Okay, for the property owned and located at South 81 West 26300 National Avenue in the village of Vernon. It's a Maguanago mailing 53149, tax key number 2081990, for the issuance of a village of Vernon conditional use permit to allow a contractor yard per section 322 B 4 of the village of Vernon Code of Ordinances. So did you want to step forward and have a seat right here? That way, you know, when it's time to speak, you don't have to get up. And then, Sean, what I'll do is turn it over to you to give an overview of the petitioner's request.
Sure, thank you. The property is about 5.43 acres on the northwest side of National Avenue, just southwest of Vernon Fire Station. What the petitioner is requesting is a conditional use permit for a contractor's yard for a small construction and snow removal business on the property. There's an existing home where the petitioner currently resides, as well as a handful of outbuildings. There is substantial vegetation on the property throughout on the perimeter. What the petitioner is requesting is actually operating. The petitioner is operating the parcel right now, so he is running an operation. He was notified that he needed a conditional use permit, and so he's seeking that from the village at this point in time. One of the issues here, one of the questions I have for the Planning Commission and the board is the difference between a contractor's yard and a landscaping, lawn, and garden business. They're both defined in the zoning ordinance. They're very similar. They're defined in very similar ways. However, a contractor's yard requires any building that's used as part of the operation to be at least 100 feet from any adjoining residential lot line, where a landscaping business requires 150 feet from any adjoining property line. So I'm not sure what the difference is or how that came about in the definitions. Now the building that's being used and is proposed to continue being used is the larger building in the back that the petitioner is going to use to store his some equipment and materials and so on. So that one is at least 100 feet from these adjoining residential property lines. So the way they define the ordinance, a contractor's yard talks about construction and maintenance materials and bulk materials stored in the property, including gravel, stone, wood chips, all certain things that you'd also potentially use for a landscaping business. Construction and maintenance equipment, trucks, trailers, bulldozers, etc., for off-site construction and maintenance purposes. And it also says where landscape materials are stored or sold for retail or wholesale markets. So that's not the case here. And not an accessory use otherwise permitted by right, that shall not be considered a contractor's yard. So if you're actually selling materials on the site, someone comes to the site, buys in bulk, or for retail purposes, that would be considered a lawn and landscaping business. The petitioner is not proposing that. And so when you look at the definition of lawn and landscape and garden business, talks about some of those same things, specifically talks about taking things to clients' properties to perform landscape construction and maintenance services. Also talks about the growing of trees, shrubs, bulbs, like a nursery, storage of bark, mulch, grass, and seed. It does allow wholesale or retail nursery of trees if it's approved as part of the conditional use permit. So they're very similar definitions. It's kind of like a contractor's yard. It would also be a landscape yard, provided they don't sell things to the general public. So I'm looking for some feedback from the Planning Commission and Board on that, because the petitioner is proposing a contractor business, small construction, landscape, and snowplow business. In terms of the comprehensive plan, this property and adjacent properties are planned ultimately for commercial use, even though it's zoned for as an A2 rural home district right now. It could be rezoned for a commercial zoning in the future. No new buildings are proposed as part of the operation. All the existing buildings comply with zoning in terms of setbacks and offsets, etc. The staff report on page 2 does talk about the general considerations for any conditional use and then specific considerations for a contractor business. The first consideration is it's got to be at least 3 acres, which is met. Buildings have to be at least 100 feet from the lot line of a residential district, which we talked about. It's got to be an arterial collector street, which National Avenue is. And then there's a planting screen that's required at least 10 feet high between any abutting property line and the proposed use. And the Plan Commission Board can increase or decrease this requirement. So as mentioned, there is a fairly substantial landscape buffer from surrounding properties. The petitioner is also proposing and you saw it maybe in the packet, a retaining wall and a planting screen in addition to what's already there for the existing building as well. Site plan and plan of operation, let me pop that up. This is essentially the site plan here. There's the building, the white building that's in the back. There would be some existing parking for work trucks, 5 work trucks on the sides of the building. Potential grading on the site. There'd be some storage bins for some landscape material here. Employees would park just west of this existing accessory building, and there would potentially be some widening of the driveway from 10 foot to 12 foot as well. There'd be 5 full-time employees, 5 pickup trucks for company vehicles, hours of operation Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and snow removal when required. This is essentially gravel and dirt, etc. back there. The petitioner isn't proposing to pave this in asphalt, although our design standards for commercial uses does require paving unless it is essentially waived by the Plan Commission and Board for a special or unique situation where the applicant demonstrates to the satisfaction of the Plan Commission and Board that the exemption will not negatively impact surrounding property owners. So the Plan Commission is to consider that. And finally, last thing I'll mention is stormwater management. I asked the petitioner to go to the county to make sure that this wouldn't trigger any stormwater management requirements, and it does not, although the county is requiring an erosion control permit for the full development here. So,
I'm sorry, Sean, what was the last thing? The county?
an erosion control permit, no stormwater management plan.
Okay.
That's it. So that's all I have unless there's other questions.
Did you want to add anything to Sean's comments, sir?
No, you explained it really good.
Okay. What I'll do before we go to the Plan Commission Board, I ask the public, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in regards to the request that's being heard? Sir, if you could just take a seat over there, and then the person that wants to make, Louis, sorry. And what we need you, yeah, right up here, and if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Ross Weaver, South 81 West 262 National Ave. The only problem I have with it is if it is paved, we are right downhill from there. We have problems, not with Louis, but with the people before that with their septic. It's been replaced now, but it all drained into our yard and it was bad. And any paving that's going to be done in there, our yard is the lowest point and there is no outlet. So I'd be a little concerned about the drainage going into our property. Otherwise, I have no problem. He's operating there now and it's quiet. He doesn't bother me. I take my hearing aids out, I'm fine. The only other thing that, I don't know if he's aware of, but I see the site plan that he drew up. And just north of that garage where there's parking on the south side of his proposed area. Nope.
I'm sorry, which parking?
Right
here?
Right there.
The employee parking?
Yeah, between there and his proposed parking lot is the mound system for that.
There is the mound system is
I
shown there.
didn't know if it was drawn in there or not.
That was there.
So just good to look at this one.
Those are the trucks that are parked up like this.
This is the building. There'll be parking back here, and
Yeah.
I think his mound system is over here.
It won't bother there.
Okay.
Ross, were you there when they approved the conditional use permit for semi-truck parking?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I've been there since '84, so yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
was for Chesky.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead with your comment.
That was it. And as far as warehousing anything, salt, anything that's gonna flow out of that property, it'll end up in my property, so I'd be a little concerned on something like that.
And did you say that it was the prior owner's septic system that failed and
Yeah.
that flew into your yard?
Yeah, we had problems with it. when it was condemned, the septic was condemned, that's why there's a new mound system there now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not bad now, everything's been changed.
Which is your property to the west?
Right there.
Yeah, one property to the west.
Where was it? You must have to move the septic system then.
The septic was right behind, the house on the property,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
right in there,
Trees.
yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's open.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you so much. Are there any other public comments? There are no public comments from the floor. What I do right now is turn the questions or comments to the Plan Commission or Village Board. Are there any questions? My question, did you ever have this, is this the first business you've ever run before?
Yeah.
This is, okay. So you
I've been
did
running my business for this is my sixth season.
your sixth season?
Yeah.
And where you came from, did you have to get a permit where you
No,
ran?
I was renting an area, I don't know if you guys are familiar, Certified Products on Lincoln Avenue in New Vernon.
Oh, yeah.
I was renting an open lot over there, so.
And you didn't need, did you need a permit or anything to rent?
No, they're the ones that take care of it, so they rent to a lot of other businesses.
Oh, I see.
So they used to rent open lots
And that's how,
yeah,
you just didn't realize you had to have a permit in Vernon then?
and, yeah.
Okay, that's, I just had to find out because you saw the attorney's comments. Dan, did you have a comment? I saw you were getting ready for a question.
How did we become aware of this business there?
I had a couple neighbors ask, not close neighbors, ask about, there's a lot of cars parked there, and we're always worried about sassy things going on in Vernon. So I asked the building inspector to go out and take a look. Everybody complains to me. I go to church, they complain, and, you know.
But there wasn't any, like, noise complaints or anything?
No septic system flowing over. No noise,
Everything works really good, yeah.
not rowdy, you know.
If we ever saw a lot of cars, it was the moving time. We had a lot of helpers.
And they're kind of tucked away. You kind of have to look, you know, when his employees come in, you kind of have, they kind of hide, not hide, but they park, you know, in between a building, so.
Well, that's one of my concerns is that they're parking on the grass. I think all parking should probably be on at least gravel parking area. You're gonna have to plow it in the winter and stuff.
Yeah, during the winter, they park wherever we leave the trucks, so they take the trucks and they park them there.
Well,
So we use the
if we've got designated parking areas for employees, they should be parking there.
Okay.
Does it, is that on the site plan, Sean?
So right now it shows the employee parking in the grass area behind the building. Here's where the trucks would be parked, and I think what Louise is saying is that they take the truck out and park
They park
in place of the truck.
over there.
There's no parking inside the buildings there at all?
And even inside, they usually leave the cars inside the building as well, because then when they get after the snowstorm, they don't have to walk the snow. So the building is big enough even for the cars in there.
So when would they need to park here?
During the season right now.
The summer?
Yeah, so.
During the summer? And I think what maybe Dan is saying is that instead of parking here, to potentially have a parking area that's gravel, whether it's at the north end of the site or
Yeah,
somewhere
I
beside
The gravel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can even avoid that, and I'll find the space in the area that we have to have them park their cars over there.
The other thing is too, if it's gonna be an issue, it'll be down to dirt pretty soon and the range will be mud.
Right.
And they won't be able to park there anyway.
Yeah, that's
So, you know, so, yeah, so it's,
Oh, with all the rain,
Yeah.
right.
cause some of my guys park on the grass too instead of the gravel and they haven't worn out the grass yet.
I wanted to tell the Plan Commission too, when Sean and I were talking, and Brad and John, I really think this is a contractor yard. I don't think this is a landscaping business. And I did say to Sean that, you know, when we do our amendments, I would feel the same way about this proposal as any. I mean, he's not a landscaper. He's running a contractor's yard, so that's only my opinion, that it confirms to the, you know, to the code.
He does some landscaping, but he does some other things as well.
Right, and the snow plowing, any contractor I know, they all do snow plowing, and that goes with the.
Well, the main difference is there's no public coming on site.
Right.
Where it was a landscape business, you'd have people coming
Right.
on there.
Right.
Then I can see the need for having a greater distance for a buffer, but you don't have any public coming on the site, so I consider it a contractor's yard also.
So I heard some thoughts about employee parking limited to gravel only. What about this sense that paving the whole thing or just gravel would be fine?
I'd be good with gravel, just because I think one of the most important things is keeping the neighbors happy. If there were complaints from neighbors about it, then I would be opposed, but gravel, I think, would be good, because then we're not dragging mud into the street.
And then maybe in the future, if he decides he can afford, I mean, laying concrete or asphalt is
If
not
I
cheap.
ever do asphalt or concrete, it will be like wherever I find like the mulch or where the cubes are, that area.
To reinforce the surface here.
Yeah,
It makes it easier to scoop the materials out of
Yeah.
concrete.
that's what I was
Cleaner,
thinking to do soon too. And then my driveway, that's all gravel.
Right.
So from the rest of the, not that area, but the rest of the driveway, near the future, I'm thinking of doing that as well. Paving, concrete or asphalt.
Do you understand that this is the, because I know you worked on this in coordination with Waukesha County, that this is the limit of
Yeah,
impervious area, right? Everything outside of that has to remain grass.
yeah, no, I mean like
for,
my.
for stormwater purposes,
Yeah, but
right?
I meant like my driveway for my personal house.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying for this, for the operation that you're doing, the business operation,
Yeah,
you can't expand outside of this without getting contact with the
Yeah, no, I
county for
understand.
stormwater purposes.
yeah.
Other questions or comments from the village board or plan commission?
Just with respect to the gravel, just so that the neighbors would know, when the county does their calcs, they treat gravel, we all would think, oh, water goes through gravel, they treat it as impervious.
And we
So,
do,
Yeah.
our
and so
stormwater calculations
if
are
If you
like
were to pave it, their calculations would still be the
Same thing.
same, it's not like they're doing it, because now it's asphalt versus gravel.
That's a good
no, that's right, Mike. Even when we do stormwater calculations for county land or even if they have a driveway, they get hit with a, and I know Jeff Millies, trustee Millies can attest to the stormwater calculation.
Any thoughts on additional landscaping that would be required for the site?
It's pretty isolated as it is, with a lot of trees and stuff going around already blocking the views. I don't think more is necessary.
I don't think so.
As long as
Dan?
we don't have a water problem, then.
I mean, if he decides he wants to put in landscaping, I mean, would he have to get approval?
No,
for it?
he wouldn't.
Okay.
He can landscape his property to his heart's content.
Right.
This is
We're just not
this is
requiring it.
with a bare minimum if you wanted to have some water.
Oh, go ahead.
Would I need an approval? I think it will, but I'm just double checking. Like on the roadside, there's I think it used to be a tree line, more on the east, like that whole line. If I build like a mountain,
Like a berm?
yeah, like a berm, about, I don't know how high.
That would require review.
Yeah.
We'd have to look at the grading, and it'll certainly require county to take a look at it too for stormwater and
Okay,
drainage
first
flow.
stormwater, I
So
think. So.
if you're gonna do that, contact us before you do.
Okay.
Would he have to amend his CU?
No, we'd have to amend the CU, but the engineer's gonna have to look at grading, and then the county's gonna have to look at stormwater and so on.
How big of a berm were you
Did
thinking?
you, yeah, how big of a
He
berm?
would, if it's over 1,000, if you're gonna move over 1,000 cubic yards, then it would require you to come back to plan commission for approval. If it's under 1,000 cubic yards, you would not have to come back for plan commission approval.
Thank you for that.
Okay. So if it's less than 1,000 yards,
Yes.
I should be okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, but you still have to talk to us so we can look at the grading and all that.
Oh, yeah, the grading, make sure the water goes in.
And there's probably a setback from the road, too, right?
I don't know, there's a slope requirement, right? There's certain slopes it's gotta meet, like a 3-to-1 slope and those types of things. I'm not sure if there's a road setback. There could be like a 5-foot setback.
Yeah.
But I don't know off the top of my head.
Would we follow county's provisions, because it's a county road?
No, because it's not in there right away.
Okay.
So,
So I was trying to be
Oh, it would-
private, to screen it sooner, if I build that, it's gonna be higher, like about 2 or 3 feet higher,
mhm.
and then there'll be trees. We can get like around.
Yeah, if you're close to that, just let Brad know and then we can take a look at it.
Okay.
Additional questions or comments from the plan commissioner board? There are none for now. Are there any additional comments? I'm sorry, Jay, you had,
Well,
talk into your
the only thing I'm concerned
talk into your
about,
microphone.
oh,
Sorry.
Okay, the only thing I'm just concerned about is, your employees, when they're driving, just, be respectful while driving, and then making, like, if you have products all over, keep your, how can I say, products like neat and organized on the property. And make sure that, no garbage is blowing around like salt bags or anything.
Okay.
I don't think you have salt on the
Could you tell us
property.
about salt? Are you keeping salt for plowing in any capacity?
Right now, I've been subcontracting for other, like, bigger companies, so they provide salt, so I haven't stored salt or anything.
So you go to a contractor to pick up your salt or
Yeah.
load your trucks,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't bring that salt back to your property?
No,
Okay.
I might have like a pallet for salt.
So where would that be kept, in the building?
Inside the building.
Okay, so can we add a condition that any salt needs to be stored in the building?
Yes, what,
Makes sense.
Or enclosed.
I should probably do both, don't you think?
Enclosed within the
and
building?
stored, don't you think?
Yeah, enclosed, not exposed to the weather, because some people use like shipping containers to do the stuff. Now granted, that's on a site plan, but
Sean, would that be the new item 11?
I'm not well, it would be, I'd probably squeeze it in somewhere else, not the bottom, but, so right now we have two potential new conditions: employee parking gravel only, and then any salt would be enclosed and stored in the building.
Any other comments? From the Plan Commissioner Board, there are none. Any other comments from the public? There are none. Sean, you need to add anything or Brad? I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, I will turn to the Plan Commission to entertain a motion to either approve with the conditions as stated by the planner as of this date, or deny. And I think I just want, before we go into a motion, I think we didn't actually vote on it, but the consensus of all the heads indicated that we all agreed that this is a contractor's yard, and had no, at some point we can look at, finding people. We have nothing, we've never done that before, and maybe someday when we have more time we can look at that, but I don't believe he should be fined. He's been running not that I've been there, but I drive by it a lot, and it's always neat and well kept and no complaints, so.
No complaints.
No complaints,
Important
no.
part for me.
Dan?
Are all our conditional uses reviewable now on a certain yearly or
Well, that's,
basis, or 5 years, 2 years?
They are, so it
Every 2
basically
years.
says every 2 years, yeah.
Every 2 years.
That's what's written in our ordinance, that's what's in, and we talked about this a little bit last time, I think, about what that means, but that's what our ordinance says, and so that's what's written in the ordinance now.
mhm. And it actually has to come back to a meeting, correct?
Yeah, unless, well, no, by staff, just to
Oh, good.
determine if it's compatible. So we just wanted to check, someone needs to check up on it and see if it's on the up and up.
Sounds good.
Should that be a condition?
It is a condition.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jay?
I have no problems, like I say, as long as he keeps his property neat and organized, no garbage all over anything. And what was the other thing, how can I say it, just no piles of junk all over.
Yeah, he doesn't
junk
have,
all
he
over.
doesn't have that.
No. I'll make sure it looks nice and clean. Residential.
So what I'd be looking for now from the Plan Commission is a motion to approve or deny,
I'll offer a motion to approve.
with the conditions as stated by the planner. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Noack. Discussion from the Plan Commission. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Is there a motion from the village board to concur? I have a motion by trustee Newman. Is there a second to that motion? Second by trustee Finch to concur with the Plan Commission's motions and conditions as stated. Any discussion from the village board at this point? There is none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Louis, you're on your way, so if you have any questions, Brad will get a hold of you about signing the conditional use, and if you have any questions on your property, always call Brad and I. You don't want to have any trouble, okay, guys?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys for your time.
Okay, have a good night.
Thank you.
Let's see, our next agenda item is Randy Parley and Carolyn Casper here? They're not here. Were they coming? Oh, are
I'm
you,
here,
oh,
Kevin Casper.
do you want to have a seat up here, sir? This is not a public hearing. This is a request by Kevin Casper for the property owned by Randy Parlay and Carolyn Casper. The applicant is Kevin Casper for the property located at South 85 West 27905 Cartwright Court in the village of Vernon. Has a Mukwonago mailing 53149. Tax key number 20879955001. Approve for a certified survey map to combine the lots and approve for a limited disturbance area of an environmental corridor. Kevin, what I'll have Sean do is explain the request, and if there's anything you want to add after Sean speaks, feel free to. But I'll turn it over to Sean at this point. Sean?
Thank you. So this property is on the western edge of the village of Vernon. It's on Hartwig Court. So the petitioner's property is essentially this one here, which is two parcels. There's one lot of a CSM, and then there's unplatted piece of property here as well. And so what he's asking to do is combine those two lots that are under one tax key. So when you click on them on the GIS system, they show up as, it looks like one lot, but it's two. You can see that by this little Z that shows the parcels aren't actually connected. They're just under a tax key. The green area is environmental corridor. The reason why he wants to combine the parcels, at least one of the reasons, is to build an accessory building in this general location that would straddle the lot line if they weren't combined. So this is environmental corridor. A portion of that building would be in the environmental corridor. So there's a few things that have to happen here. One is the CSM has to be approved to combine the lots. The Plan Commission and Board would have to approve a disturbance area in the environmental corridor. And then there also have to be an accessory building request because there's already two accessory buildings. There's this larger garage barn and there's a small gazebo there. If the gazebo was removed, the waiver wouldn't be required. Essentially anything over two accessory buildings requires a waiver. Again, one is very small, which is a gazebo, not really a building per se, but it still qualifies as a building per our ordinance. You can see with the environmental corridor here, a lot of this area here is it's still in the corridor because it's a nice neat line, but it's a lot of it's already cleared, so there aren't any trees in the area. I'll pop open the certified survey now. So here's the property. Here's the combination. Here's the proposed accessory building. It's 2,400 square feet. Again, that's not normally reviewed by the Plan Commission, except for the fact that there's already two accessory buildings on the property. Here's what the disturbance area looks like. Essentially, the pink area that's drawn on the CSM has to be on the CSM and described as the disturbance area. However, one of my comments is that it should be pulled back and just within the environmental corridor. So the area outside the corridor, it shouldn't be represented. It should essentially just be within the corridor itself.
Where's the second accessory building?
It's the gazebo here and then the garage here. So I just have a couple comments. One is that the environmental corridor isn't actually shown on this map, and it should be shown on this map and designated as an environmental corridor with our standard preservation notes for environmental corridors. Again, I mentioned it should only be within the corridor. The area outside the corridor should be eliminated. And there should be a note that essentially talks about the disturbance area that indicates that it allows land altering activities, including vegetative removal, grading, and building construction. And then the actual proposed building shouldn't be on the CSM itself. This is for illustrative purposes for the Plan Commission and Board, but we can't approve the CSM with a proposed accessory building on it. So all that's going to remain is everything that you got shown here. The accessory building will be taken off, and then just the disturbance area within the corridor is going to remain. So that's all outlined in my staff report for your surveyor. We have a bunch of technical comments in terms of the CSM that have to be cleaned up before it gets signed, but essentially that's all I have. I do know that there's two agenda items. The first agenda item is the CSM and the waiver. I'm sorry, the CSM and the disturbance area, and the second agenda item is the waiver for the accessory building. So that's it.
And none of those, obviously the gazebo isn't, but, the gazebo isn't, but the garage, none of those are historical buildings. old?
So,
Okay.
This,
okay.
I think the gazebo was built in the last decade or so, or something
yeah, I
like
think
that.
it was 2 years before I moved in, 2013.
Yeah.
Floors rotted out, so I gotta tear it out.
Well, you wouldn't need the waiver if you took it out, though, I guess we'll hear what the plan commission and board thinks about that. It's a plan commission only item, but that's the second agenda item.
Right. Is there anything you wanted to add to Sean's comments?
Well, I do believe that we already have the certified survey map without the proposed building on it. That was just added.
Okay, yeah, for so everyone can see where it's gonna go.
Mhm.
And that's helpful.
So, and I did forward everything over to him to clean up your comments.
Yeah, I guess the other comment I made is that there's a right-of-way being dedicated here on Hartwood Court. When this lot 1 was divided, the CSM lot, this right-of-way was dedicated, so this would also be dedicated as part of that.
That's what the dash line is.
Yeah, the dash line, to clean it up, right.
And did you have any problem dedicating that?
I don't think I had a choice.
I don't think you do either.
Yeah, it's pretty much expected, the rights of way dedicated.
It's a
ones.
really pretty area up there. It's very isolated.
Mhm.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, like I said about the gazebo, I'm not opposed to tearing it down. Obviously, I would prefer to keep it because it's part of the landscape built around it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just rehab it as needed, to keep it up. It's, I think, 10 feet octagonal, so.
Okay. So what I'll do now is turn to the plan commission to see if they have any comments or.
What is the proposed use of the new building?
Fun.
What's that?
Fun?
What kind of
No.
fun are you gonna have in that
Boat,
building?
tractor.
Okay.
Personal storage.
Yes.
Yeah,
There will be a deed
Deed.
restriction that's required that basically says you can't use it for commercial purposes. It's essentially just for personal use.
Yep, Vince went through that.
you're not gonna house animals in it, are you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Sean,
Is that
can you
a-
go over the right-of-way situation on that property?
Yeah, so based on my research, when this one was platted, this lot was platted, there was, like 16 feet that was dedicated as part of this right-of-way. Ultimately, it would be a 66-foot right-of-way if the property north ever got platted and so on. So this is essentially just giving up what would be required on the south side of the road, so that ultimately, if this is ever,
So they'd be 33 feet from the center line.
that's right.
Would this be our opportunity to straighten that line out?
That would get straightened out at this point. So this piece, this dash line, is what's being dedicated, so this would get straightened out as part of the CSM.
But that's not the way they're showing it on there.
Well, they have it shown incorrectly, and that's one of our surveyor's comments. They are intending to dedicate this piece, but it's not shown right, because this lot, the way it's shown, this dark line essentially would be here, and then the dotted line would be here to show the dedication. But yeah, you're correct. It's not shown right, but that's the intent, is to dedicate it.
But if the plan commission makes a motion to approve, that would be a condition of approval, and none of us would sign it.
Right. Our surveyor's comments talk about correcting that.
Just so you know that we check that before we sign anything. Additional comments from the plan commission or board?
Okay, does that gentleman own like the house and the garage, like all of that?
Yes.
And that's another lot right next to it?
Correct, right.
Yeah.
This is a lot, he's combining it with this
So
other
you would
lot.
like to join, those two lots as one?
Right.
It's already been one tax key. When I
Okay,
moved
I
in, I
know.
was told it was 2 lots. I came to do this
I know
3
that.
years ago, and I was told that they're actually separate lots. So I have 3 lots.
You would like to combine it as one?
So we can build on the lot line.
So you build.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
Sean, what's the situation with the right-of-way on the western end of that street there?
So there's essentially a bulb here let me look at the area and get a better view.
It's all environmental corridor. Doesn't that go down to the marsh?
So he doesn't, this is essentially Hartwick Court is a public road, so he'd be expanding it to, on his side, a 66-foot right-of-way, 33 feet from the center line on his side. But this isn't obviously going anywhere at that point. This could develop potentially.
That's private road there?
That's private driveway through there, right?
Okay, so we don't have a cul-de-sac there.
No, it's not, it's a little bit of a turnaround, you can see, let me turn this green off here. Right, it's not a full cul-de-sac, but it's kind of a haphazard
We
cul-de-sac.
plowed the snow in there.
I'm assuming.
Yes. Not the driveway, but the court, Hartley Court.
And we will have, enough room there or dedication to accommodate that.
I mean, you're gonna get essentially from where my cursor is, you're gonna get all of this as additional right of way. Now, he's not gonna build a cul-de-sac in there as part of this, because that's a public road, but you'd have more room to make a cul-de-sac if this is dedicated.
And our staff has been working on this road specifically as it's part of our repavement program this year, and so, in talking with staff, there hasn't been any requests to expand that turnaround area there.
Okay.
Other comments or questions? So there are none. Did you need to add anything to everything that's been said, or answer any questions, or?
Can I make a comment about
Absolutely.
my lot?
Absolutely.
If you look at the road to the east, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I didn't either.
The neighbor across the street owns part of mine, and I own part of the road in the upper right corner.
Right, it's unusual, I'm not sure how that, based on the research, Karen, the information you found from the county, the permitting that happened on these properties over the years, one of the things was that the county had said at some point that the town of Vernon at the time allowed a bunch of lots to be created back here in the past without a public road. And so one of the things that was required at some point is that I think the town bought the right of way for this particular road and built the road. I don't know why it didn't end up in this little strip of right of way that's here and why it got built there. I don't know. I don't have the
I don't know that
knowledge,
one
experience.
driveway that goes way back. That's not the Olson property, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But this is a public right of way, but the public road happens to be on this property.
We weren't around when that happened. That was.
Sure.
We probably don't want to open Pandora's box
You
either
know,
right now.
and you can't, the county has, on those old roads, that was all burned up in the fire, so, you know, when I went up to the county to look at the road maps, and all these communities have these great big boxes full, Vernon has nothing. It was all burned.
So I don't know if it was the town's mistake or, I mean, I'm assuming there was a road to get, a driveway to get back here when all these lots were platted and divided at some point in time. It wasn't a public road, but it was a driveway, and that's probably the location of it. When Vernon brought up right of way, I'm not sure why it ended up over here, but that's what I gathered from the county's records, that at some point the town bought right of way for the purpose of the road.
Yeah, I was just curious, and I don't have any issues with my neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of more their problem.
So anything else you'd like to add, sir? Sean, you need to add, or Brad, need to add anything else?
No?
So, Brad, correct me if, or Sean, the plan commission has to approve the certified survey, or it's supposed to approve the certified survey map and the approval of the limited disturbance area in the environmental corridor before it goes to the village board?
Right.
Okay. And then the waiver would be after the fact, would be a hearing after the fact, correct?
Next item.
Okay.
I covered it as part of this because it's all together.
Right. I don't know how we could have done it. I just wanted to double check if, before they do this, the waiver request, that would come after the certified survey map and disturbance request, correct? So, Plan Commission and Village Board, first I'm going to turn to the Plan Commission. Sean, do you want them consecutively approving the certified survey map with the disturbance of the environmental corridor in one motion?
That's the way my sample motion is written in my
Okay.
staff report.
Okay, so is there a motion for approval based upon the planner's conditions, or is there a motion for denial? I have a motion
So moved.
for approval
Yes,
based upon the planner's comments?
correct.
And is there a second to that motion? Was Commissioner Nowak, I'm sorry. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Millies. Discussion from the Plan Commission. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Village Board, is there a motion of concurrence to approve the Plan Commission's recommendation of approval? I have a motion made by trustee Newman. Is there a second to that motion? Second by trustee Finch. Discussion from the Village Board. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So Sean, those two items passed. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to open up a public hearing, and with the same conditions as I stated before. This is a public hearing that's held by the Plan Commission Village Board on today, May 8th, at the Village Hall, to consider accessory building waiver request for the property owned by Randy Parley and Carolyn Casper. The applicant is Kevin Casper for the property at South 85 West 27905 Hardway Court, Village of Vernon, tax key number 2087995-001, request for a waiver to exceed the number of accessory buildings on a property. At this point in time, again, I'll turn it over to our planning and zoning administrator, Sean Malarkey, and then Mr. Casper will have you add his comments if there are any.
I don't have much to add, except that, again, we limit accessory buildings to 2. He's asking for 3. The ordinance does have certain findings that have to be met in order to approve a waiver, and those are in the staff report, essentially at the top of page 3, whether or not the waiver modification granted would be consistent with the general intent of the chapter, whether it would adversely affect property owners, whether it would benefit the petitioner's project in a way that's not inconsistent with village interests, whether the petitioner is in full compliance with other applicable ordinances and agreements, and then whether instead of granting the request, the zoning ordinance itself should be amended for the particular situation. So those are the findings you'd have to make to grant the waiver.
Sounds good. Kevin, did you want to add anything to Sean's comments? Okay, at this point, I'd ask the public, are there any public comments related to Mr. Casper's request? There are no public comments. I'll turn to the Plan Commission. Plan Commission, do you have any public comments or questions, or Commissioner Noah?
Has there been a plan submitted for the accessory building?
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Is that gonna be compatible with the home and the garage that's existing there now?
Right, I guess, I read that in his comments about,
Compatibility?
compatibility. One barn with all metal panels now. It was built in 1989 or something. And then this one, do I gotta match my house or my?
You usually kind of work with the building inspector. What they don't want is like a pink building and you have all, or
Right.
Okay.
well, and Sean will work with you. I'm being facetious.
Well, it's the building, it's the building inspectors, the way that the ordinance is written is that the building inspector determines compatibility.
Right.
With those.
And he's not colorblind, and he's real.
And in addition with them, I'm very.
Yeah, he'll work with you on that.
Okay.
And I know Dan used to be a building inspector, so he watches all that stuff. I'm sorry, Jeff, did you have a comment?
I was just say, I hardly count that 10-foot diameter gazebo.
I do too.
accessory
I
structure.
agree.
You know,
I don't think so.
That's not.
and it might be more of a detrimental taking that thing down, because then you got a landscape around, it'd be more of an eyesore without it there, so I'm fine leaving
That's
it.
another thing,
So
Sean.
much tree cover, you can't even.
We gotta
see
put
it.
on our to-do list. I mean, Sean's got a list, I know Mr. Alex has got a list of all the things we'd like to revisit in the zoning code. That contractor, the one that we just did, so, I mean, I agree with you too, to count a gazebo.
So like exempting smaller buildings like gazebos or pool
Right.
houses or, something under a certain size would be exempt from the number. Right?
And what, that was in there because when he opted out of county zoning, we had to follow Waukesha County almost to a T, so it was very difficult to write what we wanted. But Sean has a whole list of revisions or things he wants to discuss to the Plan Commission Village Board, but.
Next time we crack open the zoning
Right.
code.
Yeah.
But I'm off the
Gazebo typically doesn't have any walls where a pool house.
It
would,
doesn't.
you know,
It doesn't, but a building's defined as a roof.
Got a roof, yeah.
It's pretty good.
I agree with that.
But we'll-
I think it should.
So, are there any comments or public comments from the Plan Commission before I close the public hearing? Are there any comments from the audience? There are no comments with that. I will close the public hearing, and I will turn to the Plan Commission we're discussing the waiver, and And the accessory, for the 3 buildings. Sean, do you want me to ask them the standard?
I mean, I asked him, do you agree that it doesn't contradict any of those? Maybe that's good enough.
So that's good?
I mean, we talked about why, it's small, it's better there than not, for landscaping purposes. It's innocuous.
Right. So with this, is there a motion from the Plan Commission to either approve Mr. Casper's request as stated by the conditions by the Planning and Zoning Administrator, or is there a motion for denial?
I put the motion to approve the request with the conditions.
As stated by the planner? Thank you, Commissioner Rinaldi. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Alex. Is there discussion from the Plan Commission? Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carried unanimously. So you're all set? Just gotta work with Brad and Sean and Vince and everything will be just peachy.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty. Let's see, our next agenda item. Brian, are you coming forward? Is that Brian? Is that-
Eric.
Oh, geez. The next item we have is, this is the Hine property. The applicant is Brian Linden with Newman Development for the property located at South 92 West 27720 Edgewood Avenue in the Village of Vernon, tax key number VNT 20991999001 and VNT 20919910003, minus the territory that was detached to the Village of McGuanago, which was a 1.6 acre parcel, and the additional portion of McGuanago 2091995 is a 2.8 acres that was attached to the Village of Vernon for a total acreage of 34.32 acres. And this is the request for the preliminary plat, and this is for Plan Commission only. Just so Village Board, you can go to sleep now and we'll turn this over. I'm kidding. Just listen closely, because eventually the final plat will come to you, but this is just Plan Commission at this point. Sean, I'm going to turn it over to you first.
Yes, thanks. I won't belabor the history on this unless there's questions and comments. Last month we approved the rezoning to R3 for the project. We've been looking at this since the last 3 years, I think, in conjunction with the Village of McGuanago. So this is the preliminary plat, of which McGuanago approved in February of this year, I believe, with certain conditions. Last month when we talked about this, we didn't look at the plat, but we had the development concept that went along with the rezonings. There was a couple comments that were made from the Plan Commission. One was ensuring the cul-de-sac terminated at the northeast corner and didn't continue through to the property to the northeast, and you can see that that is the case in the preliminary plat. There was a couple of outlots on the development concept. Those are outlots 4 and 5. They've been renumbered since then, so they're no longer 4 and 5, but they didn't have any access. There was essentially leftover remnants, didn't have access. The question was why. And then also ensuring the lots on the north side of the plat, so it's essentially lots 80 through 84 would have a landscape buffer from the storage units, commercial storage units that would be on the west side or northwest. So I just have a few comments, I guess. This is preliminary plat. They do show some, there's some infrastructure shown on here. There's a road. It's essentially a 37-foot road that's back curb to back of curb, with sidewalks on both sides. We'll see the details of those things when the final plat and the civil plans and so on are submitted for review for both villages. Stormwater management, as we've talked about all along, this will be a combination review of stormwater management between Waukesha County, who does our stormwater review, and the village of McGuanago, who does their own, so that's going to have to be coordinated going forward. I have a few minor comments about, just a few details about the preliminary plat. Our surveyor has a couple of comments as well, but I have a couple of other comments. Again, I mentioned that the outlots have been renumbered. I think there's one fewer outlot with the preliminary plat. One of my concerns is outlot 6. It's just a remnant. There's no access outside of lots 84 to 91. I guess I'm wondering what the purpose of it is. if there's no access to get to it, maybe it should just be part of the lots.
I think it should definitely be part of the lots, we don't know what it's there for either. So,
Okay. So-
I would propose that we take those lot lines. We looked through your comments and actually everything makes a lot of sense. This one, I think we would take these lot lines and just take them all the way back to the property boundary. And then, propose putting a 10-foot landscape buffer basically from lot 80 all the way through, probably like to 86 when you extend those lines then.
So would that be a landscape, there'll be an easement that's gonna be part of those
Yeah,
lots?
we could put a 10-foot landscape easement, basically eliminate any, ability to build structures in there and
Okay.
make
So,
it.
so the preliminary plat will be modified to show that easement?
Yes, we can show that on the preliminary, and then that will be noted on the final plan also.
Okay,
That
and
would
then
be-
for the civil plans that get submitted, we'll wanna see what the landscape looks like.
Yes, yeah, we actually have a landscape architect working on this right now.
Okay, so, another comment I had, and you'll probably speak to, is Outlot 4, stormwater management, there's no easement to get to
Right.
it, so that'll have to be added.
Yeah, and we're expecting it'll be between 57 and 58. It really will depend on the final civil plans. I don't think there's much debate. It's going to be probably a 10 to 15 foot easement between 58 and 57.
Okay.
So then again, we can put that on the pre-plat. It'll be on the final plan.
Sounds good. Most of the wetlands that are part of the project are gonna be saved, as we've seen all along, but there's a few wetlands that'll be disturbed and filled and so on, so we'll need, before final plat gets approved, we'll need the proper permits from
Yeah,
DNR.
Hartland Environmental is working on both of those right now. We kind of have a rush on the crossing permit right there right now. That permit is dependent on the culvert design. The culvert design is dependent on the final elevation of the road. So when those civil plans are done, we can actually calculate the fill amounts and we can get that permit finalized. They're doing them concurrently, but that one is a little bit more important than the one across the street, but they're both underway.
Okay, so in terms of suggested conditions of this, is obviously satisfying the conditions that are listed in my staff report, the body of the text, and then next would be the submittal of the final plat or plats for review, because this could be more than one. There could be one in Vernon and one in McGuanago. That's probably the way you're going to do it.
Yeah,
There
definitely.
could be more. Last thing I forgot to mention was that, and I think McGuanago mentioned this, is that this outlet has to be split into two.
Yes.
For Vernon and McGuanago.
Yeah, and we intend on doing that also. And then, it's, when you count up the outlots, I know it says that there's 7, but there's only 6. But then when we split that one in half,
There will be
there will be
7,
7.
yeah.
So I think Trio actually corrected one and then never put the line on there.
All right.
We do intend to split that along the municipal boundary.
That makes sense. We'd expect a land stewardship plan, something that says how the outlots are going to be maintained. So obviously stormwater is one way, but the portion of the lots that isn't stormwater would be something. We'll plant something that's going to be maintained some way. We want to see a plan for that. Any subdivision restrictions, we'll want to see the stormwater management plan and maintenance agreement, then developer's agreement as well at the time of final plat.
Yep.
Submittal, and there's one other thing that we'd be looking for, talking to the village attorney. We know that there's an agreement now for extension of sewer and water into Vernon, but we'd also want to see an agreement between Vernon and McGuanago to establish the following within 1 year of approval of the preliminary plat by the village of Vernon or prior to the submittal of the final plat in either of the communities. That would essentially lay out the plan for maintenance and management of the infrastructure and amenities, including streets, sanitary sewer, water, stormwater, street trees, street lights, and sidewalks, leaf, brush, and garbage pickup policies and procedures between the two communities, location of mailboxes, and then the construction inspection of infrastructure elements, whether McGuanago is doing all the construction inspection for the utilities or streets, or how we're going to work it out between the two communities. So,
I just wanted to tell the Plan Commission that also I talked to Diana, the administrator over in the village of McGuanago, and she was meeting with, I believe she met with the representatives from Newman's Development yesterday.
I think she met with Steve yesterday.
Right.
So they're actually working on the development agreement right now and kind of massaging how that's going to all come together. I think we're kind of leaning towards probably having Peter Gesh do all of the inspection. Village of McGuanago is familiar with sewer, water, and storm, and trying to work out an agreement maybe where, you guys use them to do the inspection of the McGuanago sewer on the Vernon site and just working out those details.
And the other thing too, I know they're attempting to, I don't know if it's gonna, go through, but, the developer's agreement was given to Nathan, the village of McGuanago's attorney,
Yes.
trying to do one developer's agreement and using John's agreement, because you know how some attorneys can be. So we don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'm in constant contact, I know Brad is too, with the village of McGuanago, so we wanna have that rapport stay that way.
Steve's working on that. We work with John in a couple of other municipalities, so we're fairly familiar with his document, and it's a good starting point, so.
Sounds good. I know you're used to John, so yeah. I'm sorry, Sean, did you need to add?
No, I didn't have anything.
Is there anything that you wanted to add here?
No, I think Sean did a great job. Like I said, the conditions all make sense, and just, we will take those lot lines to the back. I think it makes sense to get rid of that, remnant outlet.
That sounds good. Plan Commission, do you have any questions or comments you'd like to make? Dan?
Outlet 1, is that in Vernon, or is that McQuonigo?
Outlaw 1, I'm trying to find which
It's
one.
way over by Edgewood,
Outlet 1
Right there.
is probably the Vernon.
Oh,
right there.
yes, that's in Vernon.
Okay.
Here's the boundary here.
It's a big outlot, isn't there room for another lot there?
There is not. We actually, we initially had 2 lots in there, and it pinched the design of lots 2 and 3 ended up getting moved over. Plus, we need stormwater in there.
Oh, I see that on.
If there was a way to get another one, we would.
It seems big enough.
Yeah.
My other concern is the easement for the buffer. I would like to see that thing go all the way across that, from one corner to that dog leg there. We've got lots that are going to be exposed, east of lot 80, I believe it is.
This is lot 80, is that about the Cerny's, the gas station?
It's the storage buildings there. And the whole back of that storage building area is all exposed if we only go up to lot 80.
Okay.
So you're saying from this corner essentially?
Right.
Oh, yeah,
All
those
around there.
are ugly. I mean, no offense, but we
Oh,
turned them
through the
down.
outlot?
Yeah, he's saying through the outlot to,
Lot 5, oh, basically. to that
basically
point
the
there.
whole northern edge.
Sure, we could, but again, we have to get a star pond in there, but we can add landscaping in that corner. That's not a problem.
So put the
how-
drainage toward those. I'm kidding.
So, I mean, yeah, extending that additional.
So there be, the easement, that 10-foot easement would essentially be the whole.
Exactly.
Is that a problem?
Not at all.
Yay. Are you happy, Dan?
I
I'm very happy. Jeff, I'm sorry, did you have any comments?
No, I think it's all sounding good, and I'm happy with it.
Good. Mario, any comments? Mike, any comments? You like it? I mean, it's just preliminary, and we have a lot more work to do, but we want to just get going if we can. So is there, you saw all of Sean's comments, and the developer has this also. Is there a motion to approve with the conditions based upon the planner's comments?
And as modified?
Yes, as modified based upon the discussion of the plan commission related to.
The 10-foot easement along the northwest property line.
And extension of those lots.
And extension of the lots.
That's 12 lots.
Yep.
6, I believe it is now.
And I'll make that motion. Is there a second to my motion? Second by Commissioner Nowak. Discussion? Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion of the plan commission, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It was approved unanimously. Thank you, sir. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Excited to get started.
Okay, let's see. Mackenzie, did you want to come on up
You
here?
do village board on that too.
No, just plan commission. I just checked, yeah, that's a mistake. That is a mistake on the agenda. Plan commission's the only one that does preliminary plat, just so you know. That's why you're not taking action, though, but you will when it's final. Plan commission and village board, I know that you're very familiar with this property, but I'll just identify the request is owned by Kenneth Sidello. The applicant is Mackenzie Southward for the property located at South 68 West 22850 National Avenue in the village of Vernon, identified by tax key number 2019990. The request for a conceptual review of a proposed development of a commercial site and duplex duplex residential units. So Plan Commission is aware, this potentially would be coming back to you. Look at the attorney comments. You're not making any decisions. You're basically listening. I'll let Sean take it from here, but Well, just listen to what Sean has to say, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be giving direction and feedback to the petitioner. I mean, last time was the public hearing for the rezoning, and we ran into a snag, and the planning commission wanted to see a commercial lot out front, and the driveway, the private street to line up with Enterprise Drive across the way. So that's what the petitioner has done. We've went back and forth a little bit on this one, though it's, you know, it's probably not in final form here, but this is, they got essentially a 0.82 acre lot, a commercial lot here. They're not proposing to build this building, it's just, I think they're trying to show what could potentially fit here, parking lot and a building with a shared access point. If this shared access point came from Enterprise Drive, there would have to be some, and if this is a private drive, there would have to be some shared access agreement that gets put in place, and so that's what this crosshatch represents. I guess I have a few comments, and then I'll just open up to the Planning Commission and board for discussion. One comment is that by carving out a commercial property, the total number of units may be diminished, right? So originally 30 units were shown, and that was based on the lot size, subtracting the environmental corridor and the wetland. They're still showing those 30 units, but we don't know until the wetlands and environmental corridor actually delineated what they're ultimately going to get. So that might be reduced because of the wetlands and environmental corridor, might be reduced by carving out the commercial parcel. So that's one thing that's up in the air. The other thing is that they're showing the stormwater pond at the back of the property. In this case, north is to the east for orientation purposes. Let me just actually rotate this. All right, so here's north is up. With the stormwater pond, if there's two separate lots here that are sharing that stormwater pond, Waukesha County reviews stormwater management, and a lot of times they require, when it's shared, for the stormwater pond to be in that lot. So that may be required as part of this. I don't know. That might change the configuration a little bit, maybe not. But just something to be aware of going forward. And that's the size of what's required for the stormwater pond. I don't know if you guys have done any calculations on this yet or not, but that's you won't be able to submit the CSM until you know how big the stormwater pond is going to be. So you'll have to figure that out before the CSM gets submitted. I'm assuming the CSM is going to accompany or follow the rezoning as well. So those are two next steps, right? So if you like the concept and the concept looks okay, the next step would be submitting the CSM rezoning. They won't be able to do that until they got more information from the county and stormwater. The other things that were asked about last time was information from Waukesha County regarding the access point and what would be approved. Obviously, the county would be in favor of coordinating the access point to Enterprise Drive, but we'd be looking for something in writing from them before you submit anything else that says, hey, we're good with this access point the way it is. And then something on the sanitary systems. I mean, something on soil testing, something from the county that would say, hey, we think this could be permitted. Because at this point, we don't know if this could be, this could work with the sanitary system. So before it actually gets divided and rezoned, we'd look for something from the county with respect to that. My last thing here before I open it up is they're asking for B3 zoning for the commercial property here. That is the same as the zonings from across the street in Enterprise Drive. It's a pretty small parcel, 0.82 acres. That would limit what could be there to a large extent. You can't put a lot of things on a 0.82 acre parcel. So I don't know if we have to be worried about the uses too much, but I would suggest when you come back for the actual rezoning next time that we have something, a list of permitted uses from the B3 zoning or certain things stricken. So we wouldn't want a contractor yard out there. We wouldn't want mini storage out there. We wouldn't want more intensive uses that wouldn't be compatible with residential uses. We'd be looking to more service-oriented uses or things that are, you know, retail uses that would be compatible with the adjacent residential. I'll stop talking and open it up for discussion.
Did you want to add anything to Sean's comments?
Yeah, I guess a couple things and a couple questions, if that's okay. So I did, excuse me, so before we did technically have 31 units, because that existing.
Oh, the house, yep.
Yeah, and right now with taking away this area for the business, it comes out to like 29.43 units allowed. So that's why I just kept the 30 on there, because we don't know how the, like, delineation will change.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks for that.
Are we able to submit for the CSM and rezone at the same time? Can that be one?
The plan commission's gonna be talking, plan commission board are gonna be talking about that subject right after this, so we can let you know, tomorrow.
Not related to this project, but just in general of how we,
Yeah,
organize
yeah.
things.
Okay. Is it sufficient to just have perk test results regarding septic, for that? Because, I mean, we can definitely talk to the county too, obviously, just to see. I can tell you just from experience in Waukesha County, as long as the site perks,
Mhm.
I don't see there being any concern about.
I personally would look for the perk test and just some comment from them that
Okay.
says, hey, this,
Okay.
we wouldn't necessarily object, or we don't see an issue, or, those types of things. That
Okay.
because it's a duplexes, because there's so many units
Yeah.
grouped together, that there's room for the septic systems and that it works.
Okay, sounds good. And then I don't know how much it matters, and obviously it's very preliminary, but just from initial conversations with the Sadellos, they would look to build those like business condos. So the building that's shown there is just an example from previous projects, and that would house 4 business condos.
So these would be like business, like a plumber might use it to store the materials and leave for
So
the day.
each one would have an overhead door and a man door, landscaping in front and.
But this isn't designed that way, because there's no way to get into the overhead door.
So actually, a lot of times when we do these, we don't give, like, truck access for there. It's more so that they can, like, person
I
carry.
see, so they back up the
larger
pickup truck or
equipment.
the van.
Right,
and-
yeah. Yep, so the intention is not to actually drive through the overhead door, but just for companies that may have larger items that can't fit through a man door to store.
My personal preference, as long as the building was of a quality that would be, those types of uses are they're not very intensive, they come in the morning and return in the evening. If the building was quality enough and there was enough landscaping around the perimeter that looked nice, I mean, the plan commission and board may have other thoughts, but I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that. Outdoor storage or contractor yard is a different situation.
I think it'd be better if they stored everything inside the unit, including the
That is
company
good.
vehicle.
How do you calculate parking for that type of,
We don't have a direct comparison, we'd essentially just say, we'd have to work it out, we have to figure
Okay.
it out. The parking section of the ordinance is flexible that way, where we can kind of say, we can do the math and figure it out.
okay.
I did warehousing for what's shown there, so I did for this for.
Probably too much parking for contractor
Yeah.
units. I mean, they're gonna need a
I just
couple
tried
of
to follow
spaces.
it to show it, so.
Which would be nice, if we could remove some of the parking would be a benefit.
Okay.
It seemed like an awful lot of parking for that building. I hope it's not a Dollar General.
I was just following the rules, I swear.
Well, that's not what Barb said, I'm sorry. Anything else you'd like to add, or questions you might have?
No, I think that was it.
I do have one more thought, sorry.
Okay.
There have been instances in the village, and before I was here, I think, Karen, right next to your property, where the Hydro X building is now, previously a golf course. There's a stub that was required, a stub for a public road that came in.
Yeah, it's actually built, that was required to be built to,
Right,
town
a
standards.
66-foot right-of-way with a 24-foot, I mean, this is a 24-foot drive anyways, with shoulders, I'm assuming, and maybe not shoulders, and ditches and so on and so forth. So it would be similar to that, but it would be a 66-foot right-of-way that potentially, just for a small portion of it, so
Right.
that both these lots could touch it. In that case, again, I wasn't around then, but I was under the assumption that that was put in place so that the back of your property potentially could be served by
it is,
connection to
or
that
the remaining part of Hydro X.
to that public road. In this case, this is the full development, right? So both these properties, there'd be one commercial lot, and there'd be these residential lots that would share this one access point. So there wouldn't be any further future development that's unknown.
Mhm.
But in any case, the plan commission and board might have opinion on whether or not there would have to be a public road abutting these.
Or built to those standards.
I think it's gonna be built to those standards anyway.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Commercial standards?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Questions from the plan
Would
commission?
there
or
be
board?
some kind of landscaping between the commercial building and all the residential buildings?
And we would, when the site plan for either of these two comes forward, we'd certainly require that, yeah. I would be looking to see that too.
further comments, Dan?
What was your concern, Sean, about that pond up there?
My concern about the pond was that if it requires an outlot, before they submit their certified survey map, they have to do the sizing, at least preliminary, so they know that the outlot's gotta be a certain size before
You
they
said
submit the
something
sizing.
about it straddling two lots.
Not on this property, was it?
There aren't,
I did-
any lot lines.
No, I did talk about for Newman, I did talk about that issue. Let me just make sure I didn't write something about that. I did not, so that must have been Newman.
Well, that pond cannot be on that general property.
It can be, but what the county normally requires, if there's two lots that share a stormwater pond, they normally require that that pond be in an outlot, and a maintenance and management agreement be assigned to the outlot, so that both the owners, so the commercial lot and the residential lot would be part owner in that outlot for stormwater. And so if it's just on one lot, it's trickier for long-term maintenance and management.
You say the commercial and the residential share that pond?
I'm assuming that's how it's drawn, but maybe not.
So to be honest, it's probably gonna be really hard to get water from this commercial lot to that pond there. And we have not done like true sizing, we just did the basic like 0.33 acres.
So if you could provide something up in front for that commercial property.
I think it would honestly be needed, I'm not sure if it's even feasible to do.
And it might be nice, it might actually look nice if it's landscaped and so on as the entrance to the residential.
Okay, yeah.
Are you working with Leif over at the county on your storm, or you haven't even got that far yet?
Oh, yeah, we're not that far yet.
Okay,
No,
okay.
No, trying to use as little resources to get to a point of where you guys are okay with what we're doing, so.
Well, they're not gonna say that tonight, but they're just
Right.
gonna.
There's
give
still,
comments.
there's still,
No,
you guys to go through rezoning again,
Right.
so you'd be rezoning one to B3
yes.
and then one to,
Yeah.
and so the public will be back and there'll be public comments.
Yeah.
No one's decided on anything yet, but
Yep,
just giving feedback.
right.
So are there any other additional comments or concerns, or, like Sean stated, we'll have a public hearing on this.
What other items, like I know in the last time, we talked about like garbage collection, is that something, Sean, that can get written into the residential side to require a third-party pickup or something like that? Are we allowed or able to do that? Because I see that being,
Well, we're gonna review for site plan of operation, both these parcels require it, so, we will be able to add those conditions in, or just not necessarily mandate them, but just clarify and make sure that it's in the conditions for the development, mailboxes, or whatever it is you guys are proposing, right, so that the village doesn't provide services as a third-party service type of a thing.
Right, and that's the intention of the Sedalo
Yeah.
property management.
So the application, again, I think we passed these around last time, had some of the types of units that might be here, and so here's the duplexes. You mentioned that Overlook Apartments in Waukesha was done by the same
Yes,
group?
yeah.
So is John Merrick involved in this project for Sedona?
I don't know enough of those details, sorry.
Okay, I know that project in Waukesha, so.
So do I.
But you made the claim that these people, Sedelos, were at least partially responsible for that project.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that's correct. I just received an email from one of the Sedalo gentlemen with that link, and there was no language in there, so I
Okay.
made the assumption.
All right.
So
Right.
But some of these units are some of the actual units that would potentially be on this.
correct, yep, and that's how you can see there's different configurations on the layout.
Mhm.
So like that third one down, you can only see one garage, that's because the garage access is on the like short side of the building.
Oh, sure, the other side, yeah.
Yeah, and so there you can kind of see on the layout.
Some
that
variety.
Those are, yes, exactly. More dynamic looking neighborhood that way.
As I stated, there's no action required, we just wanna get all
But
the.
if you have feedback. I mean,
Yeah,
Right.
if you-
please.
Anything additional? Nothing additional. Do you plan on coming back next month, or?
I mean, that's the hope, if there's not like any hard push for me to not even submit for a CSM rezone, then that would be our next step, would be to do so.
So if the Plan Commission Board doesn't want to do the combination application in the future, the first step would be certified survey map.
Okay,
And the rezoning would then be placed on each of the individual lots afterward.
interesting, okay.
And and like I said, we're discussing this, the next item.
Right.
So, Brad could call you, or we could shoot you an email, to let you know what they
Great,
decide.
yeah.
It doesn't get recorded though, so it's approved pending the rezone. So it's approved, it doesn't get signed and recorded
Right,
until
'cause
it's
it can't be,
rezoned.
right,
Because the
yeah.
lots are too
Yeah.
small and so.
Yeah, so one fell swoop would be.
One question for the commercial lot. Now, it shows the proposed, would that be something where it's tied to, the zoning is tied to how they propose to do it as a build to suit? How does that side work? Because I know when we were talking about the residential, we said, well, no, it's only for this developer with these drawings, specific. How does that work?
Do you remember, were you around when the Walter development happened? I can't remember, Mike, if you were.
I think
Basically,
the balloon.
No.
hot air balloon, so essentially he got approved, he had 3 lots and an outlot for stormwater. He got approved specifically for one development, which is his hot air balloon business and the storage. And the 2 other lots, we just zoned B3 and left them open. So this last lot would be just
More
B3.
like feature.
Anybody could develop it. If we strike some uses, we can strike some uses, and there would just be a conditional rezoning.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Any other comments or feedback you'd like to give?
I guess I have a question then.
Oh, sure.
With that, if this commercial lot is not required to be developed initially, and it's okay to just create the CSM or breaks out that parcel showing that, it would eventually have a commercial development, would we be allowed to move forward? And I don't know what the preference is gonna be for my client, but just move forward showing stormwater management and, everything for just the residential portion, and then whoever comes and develops that business portion would have to take care of that.
As long as there's enough room, I mean, this 0.82 acre might be small, so
Okay.
it might have to get a little bigger to accommodate
Okay.
something like that.
Yep. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Anything else from the Commissioner Board? Nothing? Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Yes.
Thank you. Plan Commission, next agenda item is the issue of, the one that we kind of want you to focus on is the one that Sean did. The other examples are, probably something for group to use, but the biggest issue, you can see that Sean laid out a comprehensive land use plan and zoning amendment, and then how things would tear down from. The biggest issue that you have to decide is Attorney Macy had said at one point that he wants to know if we are going to do these development concurrently or separately or all, and I called, and Mike, you jump in at any time, I called many of John's clients to see if they do each one of these individually, and I couldn't find one of his clients. I talked to a professor of planning and zoning that I took classes at UWM. He doesn't know any community that does it this way. And any of you that have been before the Plan Commission for a proposal to do one part, and then the next part, and then the next part, is somewhat painful. And doing it, having everything all laid out at one time, to me, at least the public knows that you're doing a comprehensive land use plan. You're probably going to change the zoning. The petitioner is going to give you a certified survey map or, a plat proposal. But that's the issue that we need to decide, the village board and plan commission. I'd like both your comments on. And Sean, if you want to jump in, or Brad at any point.
I guess the only thing that I would add is that none of the communities I work for separate all the processes like that. The ones that are separated sometimes and make some sense is the comprehensive plan and anything else. So the comprehensive plan is sort of the highest level, and a lot of times, because that requires a 30-day class notice, it requires action by the board a month later after plan commission makes a recommendation. That one a lot of times is handled separately, and then the rezoning or CSM or whatever would follow. So that is one distinction that I do see a lot of times. I think where John's coming from, Attorney Macy is coming from, by separating them, is that when you separate them, this is one of his arguments, it may not be his whole argument, is that you don't look presumptuous to anyone who shows up to the meeting, the neighbors, and so on. So if you have them all on the agenda, the comp plan, the zoning, the land division ordinance, site plan, all those things at once, it just looks presumptuous that they're all just going to get approved and there's not gonna be a lot of thought put into it. By keeping them separate, they're more distinct and you're more deliberate about looking at them. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that's one of his arguments.
And I think anybody applying for a comp plan amendment cannot meet, the timing to produce a zoning amendment and a, comp plan together.
It's very common though to do a rezoning and a CSM at the same time. To do a rezoning and a conditional use at the same time.
Right.
It's common.
Especially if it concurs with the comp plan. So that's the only issue you're really deciding tonight is, do you want them to be done individually or concurrently?
I'm in favor concurrently.
Are there,
I like that too.
are there any things that you wouldn't want to see concurrently? I mean, is anything fair game?
I think we do a good job if we do a zoning request on a certified survey map, the conditions, the zoning are predicated on conditions that you define out, Sean, and at the meetings, if commissioners pick up on additional issues, we add that as a contingency on the zoning also.
Right. As I mentioned to Mackenzie tonight, that the CSM doesn't get recorded until the rezoning happens, and so it doesn't actually, the rezoning doesn't happen, then the CSM is for naught.
Right.
You still have separate board meetings. Is this adding a meeting for all the commissioners?
No, I mean, the only time we add a meeting is if someone's in a hurry. I mean, everything has been so intertwined with Plan Commission and Village Board.
Yeah.
We're having combined meetings just to make it simpler on, the petitioners and the board. They're hearing all the comments, they're part of the discussion. So when the board's making their comments, they hear exactly what's going on, what the commission's saying, because on a Plan Commission, I know Sean and I agree, the Plan Commission rules. I mean, that's what you're here to do, and board members they have their part too, but as far as Plan Commission, that's up to them, But I just wanted to, I just wanted to have something that both the Village Board and Plan Commission, get your comments on it, because whatever we're gonna have we'll just make a decision tonight that they're either done individually or concurrently.
So am I hearing we'd keep the comp plan separate for sure, on its own meeting?
I think so, only because comp plan's a little different animal.
It should be a bigger deal too. Changing the comp plan
Right.
should be harder to do than
Right.
changing anything else.
And you hate to see it for one parcel. It shouldn't be, unless there's something
A
really
very, very good
unique.
reason. Yeah.
Right.
My only comment to kind of ask the question is sometimes we can have it where, just like with the Sedella property, it's heard over 3 meetings, but then all of a sudden on the last meeting, once all the things are ironed out in meetings 1 through 3, then it can be acted on in meeting 4. Is that, when we've had comp plan items in the past, it's kind of spanned multiple meetings sometimes. I'm not opposed to it. I think it is a bigger thing to kind of separate it, it's fine. But that would be my only caveat to say, sometimes you go through all these iterations, and what finally comes out is known going into meeting number 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only case that I would see that. But otherwise, I'm in favor of the others concurrent.
So, I don't know, I can see everybody shaking their head yes. I don't know, can we, see if it is done individually. So I would entertain a motion at this point that, from the Plan Commission, that the village proceed with consecutive, concurrent, reviews of, the plan amendment, rezoning, certified survey map, conditional use permits, site plan, plan of operation, preliminary plans, accessory structure waivers, and other planning and zoning applications. Is there a motion to that effect? I'll make that motion. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Nowak. Discussion from the Plan Commission? Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there a motion to concur with the Plan Commission's recommendation as just stated? I'll make that motion. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Trustee Millies. Discussion from the village board. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, gentlemen. Well, you can tell, what was her name? Mackenzie, just so she knows. Gentlemen, we are on, Plan Commission minutes from August 9th, 2023. Brad, if you could please add page numbers and headers, to all these minutes that we're gonna approve. It'll make it a lot easier. There's, a few typos, you know, not a big deal, you know, just a couple capitals, but I'd make a motion to approve, the minutes of August 9th, 2023 with page numbers and the headers put in, and I'll just give a few little typos to, Brad. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Second by, this is
Yeah,
by
Planning
Commissioner.
Second.
Second by, Commissioner Millies. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
One
Motion.
abstain. I wasn't-
You're
I
not,
wasn't
it's not.
here.
it's
Or
not
next
Plan
For Plan
Commission.
Commission.
Blank.
You're not voting yet. You're not in the Plan Commission.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm turning to the village board, Jay, and we know that you're not gonna participate in discussion or voting. But at this point, I would ask the village board if you concur with Plan Commission's recommendation of approval. I have a motion made by Trustee Newman, second by Trustee Finch. Discussion from the village board. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There's just a few, once again, I would just, on October 11th, just the page numbers and the header, and very few changes on page, well, there is no page, but condition number 18 refers to the town of Vernon. We're going to change those all to the village. It's not a big deal. Just a couple tiny minor, you know, on item number 13, just to correct the minutes where on item number 13, it says President Shu opened the public hearing. Petitioners requested a public hearing to be adjourned, and then it closes the public hearing. That just has to be, you know, it's saying it's adjourned in the minutes, and then it closes the public hearing. So that just has to be corrected. I would have no, Brad, you don't have any problem correcting that?
No.
Okay.
No.
But I'd make a motion to approve those minutes with those minor corrections. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Nowak. Discussion from the Plan Commission? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Village Board, is there a motion to concur with Plan Commission's recommendation of approval? I have a motion made by Trustee Newman and a second by Trustee Finch. Discussion from the Village Board. Jay will note for record that you did not participate in the discussion or obviously voting. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We got you, Jay.
Okay.
March 21st, we'll also note for the record that, well, I'm going to turn to the Plan Commission. I make a motion to approve very few, one little S that's the only mistake I found, and we'll just, he's got the header on and page 2, yay. Make a motion to approve, this is Plan Commission, Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Is there a second to my motion? Second by
Mario.
Commissioner Rinaldi. Discussion from the Plan Commission. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there a motion from the Village Board to concur with the Plan Commission's recommendation to approve? I have a motion made by Trustee Newman. Is there a second by Trustee Finch? God, you guys are good at this. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Before we adjourn President's Report, I just wanted to let the Plan Commission know that not next month, but the following month, I want to give you an updated certified conditional use. It's too busy right now with things that Brad and I are trying to get done, so I intend on bringing that back so you guys can take a look at it and we can, you know, be up on top of what's happening. And I kind of want some more discussion from the Plan Commission on when we have to review these, because the Village Board's going to hear something next week and probably the next week in regards to fees. Not yours, Sean, but fees. So just so you know, it's not coming next month, and if the next month is crazy too, but we haven't forgot about it, right, Brad and
No.
Sean? We haven't forgot. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. I know you're sad. Is there a motion from the Plan Commission to adjourn?
So move.
Commissioner Nowak, is there a second to Commissioner Nowak's motion? I see Commissioner Alex, discussion from the Plan Commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Is there a motion from the village board to adjourn? Commissioner, excuse me, Trustee Millies, is there a second to Trustee Millies' motion? Second by Trustee Newman. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. Yay! Sorry to keep you so long.
Oh, yeah, sure, that's one thing. On Wednesday night,